Welcome back to DIY guitar making. Here we are once again taking a look at the progress that I made on guitar number 106, which is that Nicaraguan rosewood back and sides, Sitka spruce top guitar that I'm building an orchestra model for David in California. And I got a lot done here, so let's just go ahead and take a look at this. As you can see now, hey, this is pretty cool. We have a sound box. So since I last talked to you guys, I have installed the top, and the top is installed in much the same way that the back is installed. So by marking where the transverse bar and where the X-brace arms meet the kerfing at the edge, and then cutting notches at all 6 of those locations. Okay, 3 notches on each side. And then just gluing the back down with good old Titebond. Or I'm sorry, gluing the top down with Titebond, original. So this top feels really good. This is one of those things I always like to do with my soundboards, is just give it a nice gentle press right at that bridge location. And you can get a real sense for the yield that this top gives. And that gives you a good sense of the responsiveness. And by the way, you can do this before you glue it down. After you cut those notches, you can just rest it in the notches and feel that responsiveness. And then, you know, because it's not glued down yet, you can take it off and work on the braces a little bit more until you get it good. It's not the only thing I do for voicing, but it's a thing that I do. And hey, just thought I'd show you the back as well. Pretty stunning. That sapwood line is just beautiful. Alright, let's see, what else do I want to show you guys? Another thing that I worked on is I selected a fretboard. Actually, I had a couple stunning contenders here. I went through my stack and just found the coolest ones, because in this case, I know that David, from speaking with him, that he likes woody character. He doesn't want just sort of jet black ebony. He likes seeing the streaky bits. So I found some really interesting streaky ones, and between all of these, I'm actually still between these two. Okay, this one I went ahead and cut the fret slots for, and I cut out the shape. I haven't refined the shape yet. That's why it looks, you know, kind of lumpy and uneven. I just simply cut it out on the bandsaw. What I'm gonna do is cut slots into this one as well and cut out its shape, just so, honestly, so that I can look at both of them and make a decision. I don't often do that with parts because it's a lot of extra work, but I'm really undecided. Like they both have character that works with the rest of the guitar, but in different ways. So there's this one, which is very light colored. I think that will be cool with everything else that's going on. And then this more ribbon-like kind of figure on this one. It's just pretty cool. And you know what? When I cut out these slots and cut this shape, it's not like this won't get used. Actually, one lucky attendee of my guitar building workshops will end up getting this fretboard, because I'm just going to use it for those guitar build workshops. So this will be a cool, streaky piece of Macassar ebony that will end up on someone's guitar if I don't use it on this one. And finally, one other thing that I did the other day is I bent the ebony binding strips that I'm going to use for the binding. It's going to be a very simple binding purfling scheme. In fact, there won't be purfling on the top. It's just going to be the whole guitar body. The sound box will be framed in ebony. It's simple and it's gorgeous. So let's open this up and just take a look. So you can bend your binding strips in a side bending machine like I did here, or you know what, you can very easily bend binding strips on a bending iron and like the ones they sell at Luthier's Mercantile, and I think Stu Mac probably sells one too. You know what? That's actually a great way to learn and practice hand bending, is to just do it with binding strips first. It's just easier. It's a lot more forgiving. Okay. But I always use a bending machine. It's, once you know how to use a bending machine, it is by far the easiest way to do it and the most repeatable way to bend either your sides or binding strips. So here it is, just like when I bend a set of sides. In fact, it looks just like a bent set of sides right now. You might think that there's a set of sides in here, because what I always do is I tape together a whole bunch of strips, binding strips, all together just like that. And I wrap them in the same layers of parchment paper and aluminum foil, just like I do for a real set of sides. Now, if you look at this, you might think, well, that's a lot of binding strips. That's way more than I need for just one guitar. That's just because I always load these up with as many binding strips as I can fit in there, because I always need ebony binding. It's the most common binding that I use. So a lot of these will end up on the guitars in the hands-on workshops this spring. Some of them will end up on my own guitars that I'm working on. And some of them will end up on commissioned builds. Okay, but 4 of these, and only 4, is all I need for Guitar 106. Alright folks, so that's it. That concludes our vlog for the day. Fretboard slotted, bindings bent, top rim set notched, and top glued down. So up next I will be cleaning up this and preparing this for cutting binding channels. That's a big deal. And I've got plenty more work to do on this fretboard. So I think that's what I'll be doing. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye for now. If you learned something here, please give this video a like and subscribe so you can be notified when I release a new DIY guitar making video. And if you want to really learn more, take one of my structured online courses at ericschaferguitars.com or register for a hands-on guitar building workshop here with me in Burnville, Pennsylvania.